It's the final week of the Ciao Knit Along. I can't believe we're here already. Last week we left off with our bag bodies done, and this week we're going to get that strap put on. We're going to take care of all of those niggling little finishing details, which are unfortunately quite necessary. And at the end of this week, our bags are going to be done. So let's get to work. We have a lot to do. To attach the strap to the bag, you're going to begin by picking up 246 stitches in the purl round along one edge of the bag strap. You're going to begin picking up at the locking stitch marker, which will ultimately become the upper right hand corner of that side of the bag. You're going to pick up around, and then you're going to break your yarn. And then you're going to take your bag, it doesn't matter which side of the bag it joins to which side of the strap, and you're going to pick up 123 stitches in the purl round between the front and the side of the compartment, and you're going to end on the upper right hand corner, and you're going to leave your yarn attached. Then you're going to work a 3-needle bind off using the wrap from Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off between the locking stitch markers. And then you're going to just bind off in regular Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off until you return to the beginning of the round. Okay, so once you have both sides of the strap attached to the bag, you're going to prepare the interfacing to go into the casing formed between the bag and the strap. All right, to do this, you take 2 pieces of interfacing. One piece is 10 inches by 12 inches and the other is 30 by 12 inches. Fold both pieces in thirds, like so. Then fold each piece in half to find the center. Unfold the longer piece, keeping track of where the center is, and set the shorter piece into the unfolded piece with the centers matching, and refold. Right. You're going to slide this into the bag casing like so. Before you slide it in, baste the edge here so it doesn't come unfolded on you. So the interfacing is in, and once the interfacing goes in, you're going to need to stretch the bag around it. You're going to want to have the top of the interfacing at the markers that are still in place. You want to find the corner of each compartment and make sure that they align with where the interfacing gets thicker. Once you have the corners and the tops of the interfacing pinned, you're going to squeeze this bound off edge down onto the interfacing and pin it. And then take needle and thread and sew it actually onto the edge of the interfacing. And what this is going to do is keep the bag from slipping around. It's also going to make this edge kind of pop out a little bit. To make the strap pockets, you're going to pick up 20 stitches in the garter stitch ridges along the top of the bag, 2 in the gap, 20 along the inside of the strap, and then 2 more in the gap. You're going to work a couple rounds of purl, and then you'll work 5 inches of ribbing and bind off with a 3-needle bind off. Then tuck the pocket into the bag. Now the pickups along the strap edge are a little unusual, so let me give you a quick demonstration here. What you do is take the marked location on the edge of the strap with a locking stitch marker, and that's going to be the column of stitches you're going to be picking up in. And then every other stitch approximately you're going to pick up underneath like that. And pull back a loop through both sides of the stitch. Okay. The last of the knitting is to work the trim around the top of the bag. So you pick up at one of the upper right corners, pick up across the top of a compartment, then around the strap side of a strap pocket, and then the same on the other side. Work 1 purl round and then bind off. And that'll give a nice trim to the top edge. Next up is the facing for the compartments. And what you do here is you take a piece of 10 inch by 20 inch interfacing and fold it in half. and then set it in the center of a piece of fabric that is 18 inches by about 22 inches. And the way you do this is you buy your fabric just a straight half yard, and it's 45 inches wide. Just cut it in half, and that way you use everything. And then you fold the fabric around the facing, pin it, and then sew it into place. And here is one that is done. That's the back side. Okay, on one of these facings you're going to wrap it with your 8 feet of cord. And this is a little fiddly, so just a little bit of patience as is called for. You're going to need some pins. Alright, and you're going to start by pinning the cord to the center of the back. Alright. And then you're going to wrap the cord around the facing. You don't want to pull it tight, but you definitely don't want it, you know, too loose either. So you go from one corner to the other, then top to bottom, and throw some pins in as you go to keep your position. And then corner to corner again. And then finally side to side. And back around. Alright, and I'm fortunate in that my ends met again, and if yours don't, then go back and adjust your tension. And you can see this back looks a mess. You don't care about that, you care about this. What I want you to do now is to tack down the cord at the edges and corners, and then tack it on the back as well. And that'll give you a nice surface to hold your projects. To install the facing with the webbing into compartment 1, you're going to open it up as wide as you can. And you're going to work one side at a time. Match the corners of the facing to the corners of the sides of the compartment. And then you stretch the compartment so that the centers of the bag and the center of the facing meet, and then sew right along that edge between the sides and the back. Now you're going to find it's going to take some stretching. The bag's going to need to be stretched a bit for this to fit, and that's supposed to happen. So to finish up compartment 1, all you need to do is to attach the closures. So you're going to need 2 sets of jewel Florentine hinges, and you're going to take them apart and arrange them so that the 2 male portions are arranged vertically on these 2 triangles, and the 2 horizontal portions, or the 2 female portions, are arranged horizontally on these 2 triangles. And they'll snap together like so. Here's how to position the closure. You want the posts to go in where the garter stitch edge meets the stockinette, and there's really only one position where the posts will each be aligned next to the garter stitch edge, and that's where the closure goes. Okay, you push the posts through. You might have to wiggle it a little bit. Come on. You might have to wiggle it a lot, but it will eventually get through. There we go. Okay, so then you put on a washer, and the screw goes in, and the last thing you want to do, you don't want to just have this finger tight. You actually want to get a screwdriver and make it as tight as you can make it, because the last thing you want is for these things to come off. There we go. Before we put in the facing into compartment 2, we need to first attach the closure. This is because once the facing is in, it'll be difficult to get access to this portion of compartment 2. So arrange the flap as you like it and find the middle, and then you're going to take pins and mark the approximate location of where you want the posts to go through. Now, my personal preference is to have the female portion of the closure on the actual compartment itself and the male on the flap. And this is because when I carry it and I want to open the bag, I'll look down and just grab that tab and pull it open easily. This is a matter of personal preference. I have the facing in compartment 2. I don't know if you can see that at all. And then what you do is you reach into the bag and you push it out into the front of the compartment and pin it in place. And then you'll use the sharpest tapestry needle you can find and C1 and tack it in place at each corner and at the middle of each side. There are several places on the bag where you're going to need to tack from the right side, the knitted fabric to the interfacing. And let me show you the least visible way I've found to do this. All right, so you're going to take a sharp tapestry needle, the sharpest you can find, and thread whatever color of yarn you're going to be working against. So in this case, I'm using the brown. And you're going to go in. It might take some effort to get through all that interfacing and fabric. And you're going to leave about 4 inches or so of a tail. And then you'll come back up again in, say, a 1/4 inch away. Tie an overhand knot, just one. Then you're going to go back down and up again. And tie another overhand knot. Just a single. Then take the tip of your needle and go under the tack you've made twice. Secure it. All right, then take your threaded yarn and take it under the knitted fabric, but between the knitted fabric and the facing. Do the same with your other end in the opposite direction. All right. You're going to tug the ends slightly and then trim them. And that hides them very well. So if you look closely, you can see the tack, but only if you know it's there. All right, another step in the finishing process is to secure the inside of the bag to the straps a bit more than what it is currently. Currently, it's just secured on the exterior. So what you do to do that is you stick your hand in the strap pocket so that you don't accidentally sew it closed. And you just run a long basting stitch where the side joins the back. All right, once you get past the length of the strap pocket, you're going to try to catch a layer of the facing on the side of the bag, and that's going to hold the bag a little bit more securely against the strap. Now this is easiest to see in compartment 1, but you're going to need to do it the best you can in compartment 2 as well. The last thing you need to do is to even out the interfacing inside the strap. And it's probably scooched around in there pretty good, so it's going to take a little bit of effort and a little bit of tweaking. As you do this, put in a couple pins to secure it in place. And then you're going to lift the bag in the air and make sure that where you've pinned that there are no puckers. Once you're satisfied that the interfacing in the strap is where you want it to be permanently located, run some tacks up the side of the strap, say every 6 or 8 inches or so to keep it permanently in place. Well gang, that's the end of Ciao Bella. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Making the original Ciao Bella was was a surreal experience. I did the whole thing in 8 days with very, very little sleep. Making it again with all of you has been just tremendous. I mean, it's like visiting an old friend. So here is my finished bag, and I can't wait to see your finished bags. Please bring them to my attention on Ravelry. And thank you again to Ciao for allowing this to happen. Happy knitting, everyone.